Hello everybody, welcome back to Nucks Talk. This is episode 4 with Kyle and Thomas. We'll be looking at the Montreal series that we just finished up last night. Our first 3-game series of the season. And it's just going to be our reaction. Not the result we wanted, obviously, dropping 2 of 3. But Kyle, what did you think? Give me one word to describe the series. 2 words to describe the series.
I'm frustrated, Thomas. I'm very frustrated. And, we can talk about whatever we want to talk about, but at the end of the day, the Calgary series was about special teams, and the Montreal series now is about turnovers. And, I wouldn't say Montreal necessarily outplayed us. I wouldn't necessarily they drove play. I just think, I don't even know what to say. The turnovers in our own end, not getting the pucks deep, throwing passes across the center of the ice when you're the last man back. These things are things that we're not used to seeing. And it's bizarre to see our top talent turn the puck over. And maybe it's bad luck, maybe it's not. But it's very frustrating to see us play this brand of hockey.
I think that's a big thing. Clearly turnovers.
Yeah.
It's something that was an issue in the Calgary series, I'd say a bit in the Edmonton series, but more so, as you alluded to, special teams was the main issue, main concern. But now that the special teams have started to figure it out through the series, we can clearly see that turnovers are definitely causing us major issues. So, looking at Game 1, what did you think about Game 1?
I thought Game 1 was as much as a must-win game as you're going to see 5 games into the season, coming off 2 back-to-back losses in Calgary. I thought we started off well. Obviously, the power play got going, which was a solid sight to see. I believe we went 3 for 6 in that game. A back-and-forth game. Obviously, happy with the win. I'm not thrilled with our defensive play. I think that was pretty clear throughout the 3 games. Anytime you let up, what did we let up? 17 goals in 3 games. You're not playing good team defense. And Game 1 was I think just a tale of we got 3 goals on the power play, and Brock Besser ties it up after letting up the lead with 3 minutes to go. So I thought it was a decent game. I thought it was I'm not going to complain about a win, but there's things to clean up, and I guess in its totality, it's just hard to be positive about the first game because we know what happened the 2 previous, or the 2 after.
I think going to the first game, big positives we could take away is the power play finally getting on the board. We've both been saying it. I've been saying it. We needed to get that puck down low and get the puck to Bo Horvat. And that's what we saw. He scored 2 goals from right in the slot there.
Yep.
And it was simple plays. We finally got the puck down low, and you could see that it was moving their defense around. Instead of just passing at the top of the umbrella, we were forcing them to move. And, the one through Price, but still hard shot from Bo. And then the one was an absolute snipe.
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned that, because you really did call that, and you said that you wanted to see more out of that bumper spot, and Bo Horvat, JT Miller, and Brock Besser played that as well as you kind of can through those 2 first games, so that was really positive, and it's positive that we're scoring on the power play, but I think what I really want to talk about here is we kind of reviewed the film, and a lot of people are blaming our inexperience on defense. We have a lot of young guys, a lot of new guys. But I think what's even more concerning is just as a team, we're not playing good defense. We were watching it, and just our man coverage and our defensive zone is off. It seems like our players don't have much chemistry, so that's concerning to me. And I personally don't know what an easy fix is. It's easy to pinpoint, you got to score on the power play. You can do things to do that, but to say don't turn over the puck, that could mean a multitude of things, and a multitude of things have to happen. So where do you see us needing to improve?
Yeah, well, I think defensive zone coverage clearly is an issue. We're in the bottom of goals allowed.
Yeah, I think we're literally last, right?
Yeah. If we're not, we definitely should be the way we've been playing.
Yeah, it's a joke.
But I think you have to, we looked at the film, you have to sort of go in and break down what is actually happening. And there is young defensemen that have been playing, but we've noticed it's not just the defensemen, because in a lot of situations, they're not making terrible, terrible plays. It's team defense in general is just out of position, and we've noticed our forwards are too high in our zone often. The D and center aren't covering the right players and going towards the net. Especially in game one, you look at, I think, one of the goals especially that I noticed was a goal where Quinn Hughes had the puck at center along the boards, and he gets kind of hit, and then Hamannik comes in for absolutely no reason from the other side of the ice, and then it leads to the Toffoli breakaway.
Right, that was the Toffoli goal, yeah.
And so, I mean, maybe he's coming in to defend Quinn or something, but you can't just come across and take yourself completely out of the play.
Well, if you're going to defend him. Yeah. Drop your mitts and start punching.
Exactly.
Don't skate halfway across the ice, leave your man, and then just bump him. You know, like, if you're going to go for it, go for it.
And so, like, that was a clear case where it's a simple thing, and the execution is just out the window. He's just doing whatever he wants there, and clearly it cost us, like, big time.
Yeah.
And then another thing I noticed was on the Gallagher goal, Gallagher tap it. We have the puck in the end, and then they kind of bring it up the ice, and then we just get beat back into our own zone, basically. It's just, we're too slow getting back into our own zone. And I think on that one, Quinn just got beat to the net by Gallagher in a straight line.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
But I think that just is a thing that our team is not doing well right now is, one, we're turning the puck over their blue line too much.
I was about to say. It's driving me mad.
In the neutral zone. So naturally, they're coming up the ice with quite a bit of speed off those turnovers. That's a problem. But our turnover defense is not good as it is. Our back check is not good. We're just very slow getting back to the zone. It's often that you find our D-men on 3-on-2s, 2-on-1s, and the forwards are late getting back. But yeah, I mean, turnovers have been huge.
Yeah, the turnovers on the opposing blue line are just, they're just unexcusable. Yeah, we can't make a pass through the neutral zone. It just seems like we just can't play hockey. It's hard to diagnose this because, I mean, for large stretches of the game, we're playing completely fine. And then, you know, a bad bounce happens and odd man rush, and then they pot it. And the problem is turnovers and, yeah, the amount of odd man rushes. You're going to stop maybe 1, 2, 2-on-1s, but you allow 5, 4 a game, they're going to capitalize. Just like, you know, being shorthanded. You're just playing an odds game, and you're going to lose those odds eventually. And unfortunately, the Canucks have had a rude awakening early on this season. If you're going to turn the puck over in your own end, or at the opposing blue line, it's going to bite you in the ass. And I think we just have to simplify things, play simple hockey, get the puck in, hard on the forecheck, and play our game. I mean, we haven't seen these turnovers for years. I mean, for the past 2 years, I think we've had not stellar elite teams, but we didn't see these type of turnovers last year.
No. And I think, I don't know if it's a confidence thing right now. We're in a bit of a losing stretch, and we have a lot of high skill players, so we're seeing a lot of turnovers at the offensive, right inside the offensive blue line. And I don't know if that's them trying to use their skill and just they're forcing things a bit instead of just chipping the puck down low, or they, like, is that them exactly trying to force it, or do they really just not know what to do? Like, is the offensive system kind of screwed up right now? And that's the thing I think, you know, Travis needs to go into practice and just really just kind of, all right, look at the film, break it down, just simple hockey like you're talking about. And yeah, like you go 3 for 6 on a power play and you have all that power play time, and then you end up in a 6-5 game by the end of it.
Yeah, that's not good. And the funny thing is the Montreal Canadiens in that first game had only 1 power play. Now, they ended up scoring on it, unfortunately, but discipline was better.
Yep.
You know, our power play was better,
and
we still let in 5 goals.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable.
Yeah. I was definitely panicking after the Calgary series, and it was because of lack of special teams and turnovers. And so you see us in this series, we fixed one of the things. Special teams, I mean, we'll move on to the second game in a bit.
Yeah.
But the special teams, for the most part, the scoring on special teams has been fixed, it looks like. But the turnovers were just like, it's like one step forward, two steps back.
Yeah, they were racked up to 10. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense watching that game. And the biggest thing in that game was momentum swings. It was just constantly swinging back and forth. We'd do one thing good, and then a few minutes later, puck's back in our net.
Yep. Yeah.
We weren't helping out the goalie very much that game.
No, and let's move on to the second game, which, I mean, Demko's stats right now are just hideous, but what do you want the guy to do? I mean, I think we just watched it. 4 out of the 7 goals were, like, just ridiculous turnovers. Schmidt, off the toe of his stick, leads to a shorty. Pedersen falls down, or no, Pedersen passes across the middll. It's a 2-on-0. Toffoli scores.
Yeah, Quinn turns the puck over on the power play. Like, it's just, he's hung up to dry for those goals, and you can say to be an elite goalie, you have to make some of the saves that you shouldn't make. But we're putting him in too many situations where...
Yeah, I mean, he made a couple breakaway saves.
He did. We're putting him in so many of those situations that statistically they're going to go in the net.
Yeah.
It's just inevitable that that's going to happen.
Yeah, and that game was 2-2 after 1. And then they scored 4 goals within like 7 minutes.
Yeah. I do think that a big thing in this series that I noticed was officiating. Especially in that game. That's the game where Myers takes a what do you want to call it? I think Myers just makes a hit at center ice.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about the hit then.
Yeah.
So if you guys need a little refresher, with about 3 minutes to go, I think we're down 6-3 at the time. Armia's skating on the right side of the boards, about center ice, with his head down. Myers, being a 6'8" monster, just comes in and hits the heck out of him. He just smashes him. Unfortunately, Armia gets injured on the play. Has a concussion. It was a high hit, and it was called a 5-minute game misconduct. Turns out no suspension. When I saw it, I was just like, I don't know why this was even a penalty, to be fair. I know Montreal fans were crying, and you could salt your french fries with their tears, but the fact of the matter is Myers is a 6'8" man who can skate fast.
I completely agree. And you look at the NHL's review of that hit, and the reason there was no discipline is because like we saw, like I think most sane people would see, the primary point of contact was the chest.
Oh, exactly.
He just hit him in the chest and
didn't leave his feet.
He's big. And naturally when you finish a hit, you come up and clipped a bit of his head.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was such an issue, but then going back further into that game, Myers has 2 minors in that game. 3 minors in that game, but we just took a lot of penalties, but again, I don't think a lot of those were penalties.
I mean, yeah, you mentioned Myers getting these minors. He had one where it was Suzuki and him in front of the net. Yeah. You have a rookie in Suzuki and a 6'8" veteran defenseman. The 6'8" veteran defenseman just plows the rookie. Just plows him in front of the net and gets called. That's hockey, bud.
I don't see the issue with that. Like,
no.
Suzuki was right around the blue paint.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a penalty.
Rush him.
And I think a big thing that I noticed was, I'm not sure about the first game, but Kevin Pollock was refereeing games 2 and 3. And I am going to take a direct shot at Kevin Pollock here. I don't know what you were doing.
That Jay Beagle penalty in game 3 was a joke.
Like,
a joke.
In game, I don't know if it was game 2 or 3, you could not, the game took forever. Every 2 seconds there was a whistle. He was calling the most ticky-tack stuff. And because, like, the mics are on for the refs this year, it was always Kevin Pollock coming and telling the scorer's box that there's a new penalty. The other ref wasn't calling anything. And you would just have Kevin here, just whistle-happy the entire game. I mean, I think in that game he completely took the flow out of game 2. He made it so that there were so many special teams chances for both teams. And it makes it difficult for us to gain any momentum. Like we say, we don't want to turn the puck over, we get pucks deep. Forecheck, well, it's kind of hard to do that when every time you're going in, you're getting called for a penalty.
Yeah, and especially when you're getting called for penalties in the second period with that long change, it even exacerbates the issues that we already have. And yeah, we've talked about it before. Are we going to see playoff reffing? Are we going to see, a hard check reffing? We haven't seen that. We've seen, quite frankly, soft reffing. And it's unfortunate, and that's not really the biggest problem, though. The biggest problem is turnovers and our defensive structure. And it's hard to analyze it when it just seems like, we can't make a stick-to-stick pass. We can't go through the neutral zone. We're not dumping the puck in deep. We're making turnovers at the blue line. It's just simple, fundamental hockey things this team is not doing right. And the hard things, we're doing okay. We're winning faceoffs. We're actually hitting well. It's the simple things that we're not doing well.
I think a part of that actually if you look at the line, the differences in the lines, you look at game 2, and I think our first forward line is like -3. I know Quinn ends up like -4.
Yeah.
But
Myers ended -4 too.
Exactly. And you look at our fourth forward line, for example, through these games, they haven't been crazy bad minuses.
The only guys who aren't minuses on this team right now are Olli Juolevi and Tyler Mott.
Yeah. And I think that's a credit to the fourth line, and it's a credit to the way that they're playing. They're playing very simple hockey right now.
Absolutely. They've left off, they've picked up where they left off last year. And they're doing the exact same thing, and it's very effective. Exactly, Thomas. Simple hockey.
They need to... the first line's got to pick up on somewhat of what the fourth line is doing. What is the fourth line doing? They cross center, they dump it in.
Yeah, forecheck hard.
Yeah, Mott will skate it in, sure. But what our first line is doing is we cross center, and we try to, cross in the middle. We try to swing around each other. We try these drop passes. And it doesn't have to be a dump it all the way to the goal line and go nail someone. It can be chip it to the circle, chip it to the hash marks.
Chip it to an empty side of the rink.
An empty spot. But instead, we like to get 1 foot in the blue line and throw the puck across the entire zone.
There's been 3 where Besser had one really late in that game 3 where I have no clue what we are doing. Miller had that bad turnover that leads to the Drouin goal. And Pettersson just falls down as the last guy back, slips, and the puck gets on a breakaway, and there's another goal. I mean, Miller's a good forechecker. Pettersson and Besser are elite offensive players. These mistakes cannot be happening.
And I will say that as much as it is just the passes across the zone, it's also, I think our defensive awareness needs to be better. Because you look at some of the plays the guys are trying to make, some of these plays are open for a second or two, and unfortunate plays like Schmidt's turnover, he fans on it, Petey falls down. But at the same time, I will say, when you are the last man back, and you know you're the last man back, everyone else on the ice is in front of you, I think just the focus needs to be a bit better, the execution needs to be a bit better, and you need to just make this safe, with the way we're playing right now, just make the safe play when you are the last man back, because it's costing us.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head, focus. Focus, intensity, and drive. I mean, some players, you can see it. I thought Hoglander has played hard every single shift he's out there. As you've mentioned, fourth line's played very well. But yeah, it just seems we're lacking focus. I mean, fanning on passes in your own end, pucks off skates, not being able to pick up pucks. These are simple things for these players. They're high-skill players. We're not focusing. We're not playing well. We're not playing hockey.
And I hate to do it, but I have to highlight Rafferty's first shift.
Oh.
His first game of the season, and I know the nerves are there, but you come into any hockey game as a call-up or as a young player, and what do they tell you? They tell you, make the simple play,
keep it simple,
move your feet, keep your head up, and just get the puck off your stick quick.
Yeah.
And what does he do? He takes the puck for a little joyride into the corner, and it ends up in the back of our net on that shift.
Yeah, I think that was a minute 30 into the game.
Yeah.
It's a Foley again.
And it's it makes me wonder, okay, are these guys not ready to play when the puck drops? Or is it just there's something going on in the room right now where they're just gripping their sticks a bit too tight and they're just turning it over? I really don't know what to tell you, Kyle.
Yeah, the Canadian division's a good division. We know every single game is going to be competitive. That's unfortunate. That is really unfortunate, but that is the reality of the situation. Yeah, it's unfortunate facing McDavid and having to go to Calgary and then playing Montreal. Those are pretty loaded teams. But guess what? That's the reality. So I don't know what to say. Yeah, are we in our own head? Are we trying too hard? I don't know. It's a lack of focus. It's a lack of execution. And speaking on Brogan Rafferty, John Garrett said it perfectly. You have a safe haven behind the net.
Yep.
He He skates it, goes to the right side. I mean, you're a right-handed defenseman too. I don't know what you're doing.
I'd rather have you ice that puck, to be quite honest, than what you did.
I'd rather you shoot it over the glass.
Yeah. It was just...
But, like, these are the boneheaded plays. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, these plays aren't normal. Like, you can't coach this.
No.
You can't GM fix this. This is on the players, unfortunately.
And it's so demoralizing to watch. Because, especially in Game 2, even in Game 1, honestly, in all 3 games, you see spurts where they're flying at, like, full speed. The fourth line will go out. Yeah. They'll go hit someone.
Yeah. I thought Bo's line has been pretty good. Besides Pearson, who's been quiet as heck, Hoglander and Bo have been driving play. I
think Bo's been phenomenal to start the year.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think 8.7 games, he's playing like a captain.
I think in the face-off circle, he's, it's kind of funny to say, I don't think he's doing as well as he can, just because he is so great at face-offs that we've seen him be even better. And I think that's just going to come with more reps as the season goes on. So I'm not even worried about Bo right now.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on that. Is we can be a lot, like, we haven't played even close to our best hockey yet, which is good. If we were losing and we were just getting destroyed by playing decent hockey, I would be like, hey, this is going to be a long season. But we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
And I do think there is a problem with our defensive structure and with focus and with turnovers. And we can keep on going around in circles, just like we went around in circles with the Calgary with special teams. Going to need to fix it against Ottawa.
And I think today's our first actual practice besides morning skate.
Yep.
So it gives the coaches an opportunity to really figure out what we're doing on defense. Yep. But I have noticed, and I think we both noticed, is the slow back checking. And so a part of me wonders is that we're getting caught on... Obviously, we're getting caught on turnovers. We know that. But is a part of that just our shifts are too long? Is a part of that just... like because guys just look tired. Like we saw on one play where JT Miller was covering at the point.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even physically get back. Like he got beat by people that were deeper than him in the zone.
Yeah, Quinn Hughes was probably 15 feet behind him, and he was the second guy back.
Exactly. Gaudette ended up trying to get the guy in front of the net, but he taps in that Suzuki one that, came up top. But
yeah, that was in the second game against Demko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I think another thing is turnovers late in shifts when you're trying to do too much, when the puck should be the puck is chipped in and you go on a change, but instead it's, no, let's make a drop pass, let's try to do something creative, saucer it 3 feet in the air, and then it's in the back of our net.
Exactly. The puck has to get deep.
For you
but the puck is getting turned over at the blue line.
Yeah.
That's the worst case scenario.
Right now it looks like they don't understand that in order to change, the puck needs to be 200 feet from your net. Because you're dead tired, so you can't skate back, but you refuse to shoot it into their own end. So I don't know what more to tell you.
Yeah, and let's move on to the third game, which I thought out of all 3 games was probably our most complete game. I thought, quite frankly, for 45, 50 minutes, we played completely fine. I loved the bounce back in the third, tying it up with 5 minutes into the third. I was like, yes, this is great. Awesome. And then, we implode again. And, again, we get a little unlucky. Pedersen hits a post. Besser hits a post. Olli Olevi jumping up in the play hits a post.
Yep.
And then they storm back, and Perry gets kind of a soft goal against Holtby on the rush.
Yep.
Kind of crossing it in the middle. So the breaks aren't breaking for a team that is turning the puck over and not doing the little things. And all that together is just bad. It's just bad hockey.
Yeah, it's terrible to watch these mistakes happen because you see these spurts where we play great. I thought the third game we started very hot. I noticed a physical start in the third game.
Third game, yes. Very
physical start. Miller had 4 hits, I think, last night.
Yeah, and McEwen was going too. Yeah. I liked McEwen's game.
That first period, Miller just chipped the puck in and just killed some people right off to start the game.
He did.
And I think the biggest thing was you saw a difference in the way Montreal reacted. In last night's game, Game 3, when you chipped the puck in on those defensemen, they didn't look as good. Getting them turned around a bit, getting them moving, playing the body on them. The third line, McEwen, like you pointed out, was hitting. Roussel had some hits, and it made them uncomfortable. You saw Montreal start to turn the puck over a bit, and you saw Vancouver get some more zone time, which we haven't kind of been having.
Yeah, and it's a good point. I think at one point we were out hitting them 26-16. So, yeah, you get pucks in deep, you wear out the other team. Wow, you're playing a brand of hockey that you don't let in 5 goals, even though we did. You know, you let in 2 goals, and one is kind of soft on a break that you hit a post. Like, it's weird. This team looks so good, and then you have these breakdowns, which are just so catastrophic.
I think one thing I kind of wondered, right? Before the series, you mentioned Montreal could have the best decor in the Canadian division. And I think coming out of the series, you would say Montreal definitely could have the best decor. But what I would say is we really didn't test Montreal's defensemen too much. I'd say, like, when we turn the puck over, the defense is kind of just, when you look at it from Montreal's perspective, the D are coming back, we carrying the puck in, but then it's turned over, and their forwards take it. So
yeah.
The D didn't have to do much work besides last night's game, and then that's where you saw them. Like, Romanov, I thought in games 1 and 2 looked pretty good. But then last night, you start putting a bit more pressure on him, and
you see turnovers.
You see Romanov turning over the puck.
Yeah, good point.
And so, I think a lot of that was our bottom 6 flying last night. McEwen injected back into the lineup, but just as a team, structurally, I think to start that game, we played a bit better.
We did. We played a better game in game 3, and unfortunately, the result didn't come, and there were breakdowns in that third period. That can't happen, and yeah, it is frustrating, man. And to your point, yeah, Montreal's a good decor. I wouldn't say Montreal's decor like shut us down at all. They really weren't. They were effective, but they weren't clamping us by any stretch. Petrie was effective jumping up in rushes.
He was.
They have some offensively inclined defensemen. Shea Weber is a big clapper. Petrie's solid. Joel Edmondson, I mean, he had a lob shot from, I don't know, 120 feet and went right in the net. That was pretty nice, actually.
Yeah.
Gary Price played well, I thought, in the third game. So, yeah, you're not going to win many games when you're letting in 5 goals.
Yeah, I think we just need to...
We need to reset.
Yeah, one thing I'm not seeing... You know, we saw it a lot growing up watching the Sedins play. And I know this group is different, but I think one thing that could help them with the high skill that they have is cycling the puck a bit more. Consistent zone time. You see Montreal play and they kind of got us pinned in our zone to the point where we get tired. And like some of it's long change, but we're not pinning these teams in the zone with the amount of skill that we have in our top 6. Like they're kind of able to break out on us. They're able to get the puck out, and we do have spurts where we have zone time. But I think there hasn't been a game where you could say that we dominated the offensive zone yet.
No, I don't think we have cycled or had the significant zone time we were seeing last year, with especially the Lotto line.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really saw Montreal cycle and wear our defense down. I think they did have a couple extended offensive zone shifts, but I mean, for the most part, man, Montreal got most of their goals on odd man breaks and a couple power play goals. They had that first goal in yesterday's game where it was kind of on the half boards, and then they chipped it in front, and a quick shot goes under Holtby. Yeah, it is frustrating because I don't see us getting dominated. I don't see us getting completely kind of dominated in the way we saw Vegas take it to us in the last couple games in that series. We've said it probably I don't know how many times. It could be a drinking game at this point. Turnovers. I don't know what to say at this point. It's time for a reset. We do play Edmonton 3 in a row at home. That will be a huge series.
Ottawa.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. One thing I do wonder is we saw McDavid attack Edler when we played Edmonton a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Shea Weber is, still a good hockey player, but he is on the higher end of the age spectrum here.
Oh, no doubt.
And so, I can't come out of this 3-game series and say we attacked Weber's skating. I can't come out and say we specifically, because especially in these series, I think it'll be big this year, is I think you have to have a little bit more of a game plan coming into some of these series of how you want to attack certain teams. But I do think that will improve as we play them even more.
Well, yeah, we played them 9 times.
Exactly. So I would like to see in our next series against Montreal, let's see if we can get Weber turning his feet. get him turning, get him changing directions, and see if we can beat him wide, see if we can open up some of that zone time, get him to back off a bit more, and then, maybe we can try those passes a little higher in the zone and we won't result in turnovers.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, we're not even really, like, we don't really have much speed going through the neutral zone.
No.
We're not getting really that many odd man rushes. It's like, it's hard to even assess where this team is at because we're just not doing the little things right.
No.
And in hockey, it's all about doing the little things right consistently. And over a course of a game, that's going to add up. You're going to get friendly shifts. You're going to get a couple bounces. Yada, yada, yada. And vice versa. When you do the little things wrong, that's going to bite you in the ass. And yeah, I mean, we can talk about trying to exploit certain players' weaknesses. I know Edmondson isn't the fastest skater either. He's kind of a Shea Weber
That's a good point.
archetype as well. But, for me, I'm not even thinking of that. Like, can we just do the little things right? Can we stop turning it over? Can we get the pucks deep?
Yeah.
It's frustrating for sure, man.
I think one thing that can definitely help our turnovers is, and I've noticed this with many players across the league, many teams watching hockey, is the high-skilled players love to try to make these stick-to-stick nifty passes. And I think what can help our turnovers is keeping the puck out of the middle a bit and using the boards. Like you see Quinn Hughes, Quinn or Petey, I don't know, early in the season, make a long pass to Besser off the board.
That was Petey, yeah. Petey. That was nice.
And so these guys can do it, but like little chip off the boards instead of going up the middle. Maybe that'll help our turnovers. Like a pass to Besser cutting across the middle, you can get it to him if you go off the boards. It's the same result. It's just it doesn't look like they're seeing it right now. They're just forcing things like we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, we're just not playing hockey. It's bizarre. And I know you're on the Gaudette train. I've been pretty high on Gaudette. He gets scratched game 3. What do you make of that, and what do you think of that coach's decision?
To be quite frank, I did not like the move.
You didn't like the move, okay.
No, Gaudette struggled in game 2. Gaudette did not have the greatest game 2. But I don't see how Sutter brings more than Gaudette does on the third line in the middle. Sutter kills penalties. Sutter got an NHL goal. He got a video game goal honestly, in game 2.
Yeah, we noticed probably Sutter's been one of our... I don't think he's had a great season by any stretch, but I will say that was a pretty filthy goal, unfortunately.
I mean, Sutter has hands. Sutter can block a couple shots on the penalty kill. But Sutter, we've noticed, is extremely slow.
Yeah, he's lost a step or something. He's in quicksand.
Like, I know Beagle's in great shape for his age, and Mott is quick, but when Sutter was on the fourth line with those guys are flying, and you don't even notice Sutter on the ice.
And this might be controversial. I honestly think Louis Eriksson right now would be faster than Sutter.
He's just, it's like he's in quicksand. I don't know what to tell you.
And maybe we scratch Gaudette because Greener thinks Sutter brings a more defensive game to that third line, maybe more defensive responsibility, which Gaudette has his problems in his own zone. But yeah, I didn't necessarily hate the move, but Gaudette's on a 1-year RFA contract. It's a 56-game season. Like, can we not see what he has? I've been clamoring for him to get more ice time.
Yeah, and so I think it's a little bit unfair to see. I know there are star players. I know they're in the top 6. I know you're not going to scratch any of these guys. Like, you never do that. But you've got some of these guys making brutal turnovers. And Gaudette makes a few mistakes, turns the puck over a few times, and he's out of the lineup. What does that do for a player's confidence, right? Like, maybe it's to jumpstart him. Maybe it's,
right.
You're going to put him right back in next game. And kind of a McEwen thing where he sat him for a couple games. And we noticed McEwen looked great.
Played well.
He had a couple passes. And, I liked his actually... I think he played a very simple game last night when he came back. He took a slap shot, low pad, exactly what you want.
Yeah.
He was physical. He moved the puck well.
Yeah. I mean, he was skating well. He had that kind of half breakaway where he curled back and then passed it with his backhand, and Jake got robbed by Price. I mean, the third and fourth line, when they play it and keep it simple, are very effective. And you've touched on it. We've touched on it. Mott and Beagle are really exemplifying that to pitch perfection. I mean, on and off the tape, getting it deep, banging bodies, get the puck on net.
Yeah, I think they're playing very well. I'd put them right behind Bo as our better players
Absolutely.
to start the season.
Myers played well.
I think Myers has played very well. I think Myers has played like a top 4 defenseman this season.
Yeah.
You'll see a couple minuses on his stat board, but I mean everyone's got ridiculous minuses now because of the turnovers. I do think that
even Ben jumping into the lineup wasn't half bad, considering he didn't play a game.
Considering that was for Ben's first on-ice action to start the season, I thought he played well. Mm-hmm. I thought Ben played actually very well. I will say, though, that I don't know... I don't like Green going into the blender as much as he does with the line combinations. You know, we saw last night's lineup was very different. We saw Jake go back up to the first line.
Jake should not be in the top 6, and I'm a Jake fan.
Yeah, it's... Like, we said this after the Edmonton series when Green pulled him off that line in about a period and a half in one game. Jake is not that type of player, but then, like, you know, maybe you move Brock down to play with Bo. All right, maybe that can generate some offense.
Why is Neal's on the third line?
I don't understand that. But, like, whatever you're going to do, right? Okay, I can't stop you from doing that. It's your team. You make the lines. But if that's your starting lineup, I don't understand why you're going to juggle that like halfway through the first. If you come up with your coaching staff and you say, you know what, this is the lineup we're going to go with, and you don't even give it a period, you're already juggling. I don't understand that. Like, can you help me out here? Like, why is he juggling something he's committed to before the game? I don't get it.
Well, I have my theory about it, and here's the thing. Green has always mixed up the lines when things are going bad, and I think he's thinking that will give the team a spark, get some new chemistry going, maybe a couple bounces happen. Clearly it hasn't helped, and I really think, this is just my theory, is Green's in a contract year. Green doesn't make the playoffs this year. I think there's a significantly high chance that he doesn't get brought back as the head coach.
I think that's spot on.
And is this pressure, because that is pressure, you're fighting for your career.
I will add, Vancouver's the media, as we all know Vancouver.
Canadian market's a different breed.
Exactly.
So, is the pressure getting to him? Is he maybe making some rash decisions just because of that externality? I don't know. It's 6-7 games into the season. For me, that would be a little early, but I think it's definitely possible, and something that, as the season continues with this contract looming overhead, because Benning and Green both have agreed in press conferences that they want to get a deal done.
Exactly.
But it's not there.
It's a results-based business at the end of the day. I will say that obviously Green's intentions are good, and obviously we can agree he's juggling his lines to create that spark. Yeah. I think right now, because of the way we're playing, I actually think it's having the reverse effect.
Well, yeah, and especially without a training camp and without preseason and with new faces, this is crucial early season time to build chemistry. Like, quite frankly, it sucks starting 2-5, but we still have 49 games left. I mean, the season isn't even close to being over. And how are our players going to build chemistry when they don't even know who they're playing with night in, night out?
I was just going to say that. It's a big thing. Like, even the game, you don't know who you're playing with every night. And then when the game starts, he kind of is just tapping guys on the shoulder. All right, you're out. And it's just, I think it's having the reverse effect. I think the way they're playing looks like they're gripping their sticks really tight. And it looks like, okay, Green's put me out with this guy. Like, let's take Jake just for a random example. Green's put me on the first line. If I'm Jake, I'm thinking, okay, these lines are getting switched around like every 2-3 shifts. If I mess up here, I'm off that line. Like it's like, that's got to be their mentality, because it's kind of like he's not allowing them to make any mistakes. It's like, you do one thing wrong, you're moved, like something doesn't go their way. I think it's just killing kind of confidence, and they're not able to build any chemistry. Like you said, it's tough to generate points when you're constantly on a different line, you're constantly playing with someone different.
Yeah, it's ironic because he's done it, and the turnovers have even been more. Like, I'm also touching on this. I think it's hard. I mean, it's hard for the defensemen, too, because they're getting switched around. Injuries have played a role in that a bit, but, I mean, Quinn Hughes hasn't had a consistent partner the whole year. You lose Tanny, who was instrumental in his first year. Instrumental. I mean, why not pair Quinn Hughes with Mizey? Right? Like, Quinn Hughes, we have to still admit, he's 21 years old. We're relying on a 21-year-old offensive defenseman to carry the load on defense right now. Yeah. And he's played a little shaky, especially in his own end. He's had turnovers. He's had mistakes. He's 21 years old. That's going to happen. And unfortunately, the defensemen haven't had any time to build any chemistry, just like the forwards.
Yeah, I think injuries has played a part in that. I do think... Yeah, you're looking at Quinn's game so far this season. You think he's a -7 after 7 games.
Yeah.
It's not great when you look at it. There have been turnovers. I think we can definitely see the hole that Tanev had, the hole that he left since he's gone. I do think that pairing him with Myers would be interesting, and I do think that would be a good move because defensively right now, I would say that Myers is our best guy back there. In his own end, I think he's the best guy. And I will actually say that I think Olli Juolevi has played very well in his defensive end.
Olli Juolevi has been one of the most impressive Canucks for me, and one of the most underrated guys. The guy is literally 22 years old. That's how old I am. He's played fantastic defensively, could have had his first goal, he kills penalties. I mean, silent, stoic. I really like Juolevi. Schmidt, a little disappointing. I was expecting big things, and he hasn't played necessarily bad, but there has been some mistakes where it's like, obviously the fan was a big mistake, but
yeah,
we need a bit more out of Schmidt, just a little bit.
I think Schmidt right now for me is falling into the same category as our top forward line. It's just guys that we need more out of right now. I think that's like the same type of thing where it's like, you know what, you're better than this, we know you're better than this, you know you're better than this. Same type of thing with Petey. You got to get it going. That's the bottom line. You got to find a way.
Yep.
And going back to Juolevi's thing, so what? Like we both think that Juolevi has been playing well.
Yeah.
Yet we saw him get scratched in Game 1 against Montreal.
Correct.
And we did see Chatfield come in and he played well.
I was very impressed with Chatfield. Very impressed.
So, like, what do you make of that move? To me, it's just another thing of. I don't want to say Green's getting a bit desperate. And I know it's a contract year, but at some point, like, what do you think? I think you got to trust your players a little bit.
I think, well, let's frame it, because in Game 1, we were coming off 2 losses to Calgary, back-to-back.
Yep.
3-0 and 5-2. So he makes the change, maybe get some juice in. I don't know. All I know is Chatfield played well. And we won that game. And then Juolevi's back in the lineup next night. I didn't love the move. It worked out for him. Luckily, maybe. I think if Juolevi gets scratched again, that's where I really have problems. Because Juolevi has proven to be an everyday NHL defenseman, in my opinion. And he's only 22 years old.
I agree with that. I think that Juolevi has proven to be an everyday defenseman in the NHL. And I will also say, Juolevi draws back into the lineup in Game 2 in a game where Chatfield, Juolevi, and Rafferty have to play because of injuries.
Yeah.
So, if we didn't get injuries that game, I can only wonder, would Travis have put Juolevi back in?
That's a good question. A good question. We'll never know.
Exactly. Right? So, like a guy like Juolevi, where we think he's playing well, say he had not played that second game. Does he even draw back in for Game 3? Like, it's a guy where we can see the plays, and we can see his improvements, because he had turnovers in the first series. And so, when we think he should be playing in the NHL every day, I feel like it's so early, and we are playing bad, that why not just trust your players a bit? You know what I mean? If you're already, just in a skid, just ride it out a bit. Maybe you say, like, you know what? Pettersson, he just put the lotto line together, like for Game 3. Just put the lotto line together and say, you know what, just ride it out.
Roll with the boys.
Exactly. If you want to change it in a tight game, period 2-3, go ahead. No problems with that. But to, before the game, be like, especially when you have no practices, you're just changing these things in morning skates. It's different in a playoff series of 7 games when, guys are really banged up. You're playing certain matchups. And I know these are series, but early on, I think we just need to roll with the lines a little bit here.
Yeah, and you look at our defense now. Myers is playing solid. Juolevi's playing solid. Edler's been meh. Schmidt's been meh. Quinn Hughes with 6 points in 7 games has still been disappointing. I mean, I don't think Brogan is going to touch the ice again for the season.
No.
Ben's played well. Yeah, I just think this team needs to settle down, reset. I don't want the lineup to change once.
No.
In 3 games against Ottawa. I don't care if we lose all 3. I don't give a fuck if we lose all 3.
Yeah.
Keep the lines together. Keep them together, and quite frankly, I know you're a little bit wary about Ottawa. You think we're going to lose 2. I think we have to at least win 2 games. At least 4 out of 6 points against Ottawa. Get back on track a bit. We go away to Winnipeg. That's going to be a hard series. If we do not get 4 points out of 6 against Ottawa, I'm going to hit the panic button.
I completely agree. You need at least 4 of 6 against Ottawa. And I will say, I don't think that I'm worried about Ottawa. I'm not worried about Ottawa. The issue here is I'm thinking we drop 2 of those games possibly because I am worried about us.
Well, yeah.
Right? It's not Ottawa beating us at this point. It's us beating ourselves.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And to your point of I don't want to see the lineup change, I agree. And what did we hear today, Kyle? Justin Bailey skating today at practice. You know, like, I understand we just dropped 2 of 3 to Montreal. I get it. But at some point, Travis, I'm telling you, buddy, just let the boys play a little bit.
Yeah, and honestly, I like Bailey. He's fast, he's big.
Yeah, nothing against Bailey.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, if you want to insert Bailey into the lineup, do it and keep him there. Don't insert him and then insert McEwen back in and then insert Gaudette. No. Keep the lineup the way it is. Build some chemistry. Evaluate where your lines are at. And then tinker. You're tinkering mid-game when we're down 2-0. Hoglander start... Why is Hoglander on the 3rd line?
I couldn't tell you.
Look, the kid's played... Quite frankly, I don't think he's had a bad effort shift this whole entire season. He's made some mistakes. He's 20 years old, playing his 7th game in the NHL. He could have had 2 more assists this year. That, again, I like Green because he's a player's coach. He's a motivator. But at the same time, I am starting to see some panicky tendencies, some questionable moves, especially with lineups. That doesn't make me all too happy.
I think that behind Bo, Mott, Beagle, and Myers, Hoglander has been the most consistent effort guy we've had. Mm-hmm. I will agree with that. I think Green has fallen a little bit into what the team in general has fallen into. I think the whole kind of vibe around the team right now is just a little bit of uneasiness, a little bit of trying too hard.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, the turnovers, we're trying a bit too hard. We're trying to make the fancy play. Green's juggling, he's trying a bit too hard. He's trying to, like, spark, but just, you know, relax. Everybody relax.
Yeah.
I will say I do want to see Gaudette back in for the Ottawa series.
Who do you take out?
I take out Sutter. I take out Sutter. I take out Sutter. To be quite frank, I wouldn't mind seeing Gaudette, if you're going to put Jake on that first line, I wouldn't mind seeing Gaudette take a period there at least, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I just think keep the lotto line. I honestly think our top 6... Honestly, if you're going to take anyone out of the top 6, quite frankly, it should be Pearson.
Yeah, Pearson's produced nothing.
He's been invisible on the ice. He's done nothing. He's not banging bod. If you're going to take out a guy, I think Miller's been fine. Besser, we haven't talked about Besser. He's had a good year.
Besser's been great.
Petey, look, slow start. At least he gets a goal. He's hitting a couple posts. I think he's going to be okay. Bo, as you mentioned, has been good. Niels, only guy who I really can point to in the top 6 who's been subpar is Pearson. I wouldn't mind Gaudette on that second line.
Right, and so, like, we saw Jake move up to that first line last night and Besser come down. And I think that was more of just trying to get Petey going because it's not any points it's not anything to do with Besser's play. Like, you know what I mean? Besser's been playing fine, like you just said.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Just pick something, stick to it. But I think Gaudette should be in the lineup. Sutter just, had a video game goal and that's about all he's done.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. And, I'm optimistic about the Ottawa series, but boy, if we drop a couple, you're going to see my tone shift real quick.
Yeah, this this week is a big tell on how the season's going to go.
Massive.
A huge tell on how the season's going to go. Is it going to continue to be this subpar season where, you know, I hate to say it, but maybe these turnovers are going to become something common? That's not what we want to see. It's been painful to watch these last couple games.
If there's turnovers against Ottawa, there's something very wrong.
I agree. There's something completely wrong if there's turnovers against Ottawa. And, you know, we just got to get back to basics against this Ottawa team. They're a very young team. You know, Ottawa's not going to beat us, so we're going to beat ourselves if we lose these games.
Yep.
If we don't beat ourselves, we should win. That's the bottom line.
That is the bottom line.
That's going to do it for us today. I hope you enjoyed listening to us. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. We'd like to hear what you have to say, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, you guys can follow us on Instagram at Nux_talk. We're building a little community there. A lot of ranting going on in the comment section. So if you guys want to check that out, feel free to. And catch you next series.